Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi, we are from Group 6. We are gonna discuss about community language learning and total physical response method. First, I'm gonna introduce my group. There's Hasanah Putri, Marcella Oktavianti, Nikita Nur Anissa, Nur Faizah Jawas, Anissa, dan Zara Gwenly.
Anissa, and today I'm going to explain to you what is Community Language Learning, or CLL. CLL is one of the designer methods of language acquisition that arose in the 70s, along with the silent way, suggestopodia, and TPR, and forms part of the humanistic approach to language learning. The key features of these methodologies is that they flout orthodox language teaching. They have a guru, regarded by devotee of the methods with something approaching religious awe. And they all developed from outside language teaching. Additionally, they are all rigidly perspective and emphasize the learner's responsibility for their own learning. The founder figure of CLL was Charles Curran, an American Jesuit priest whose work in counseling learning, a general learning approach based on Rogerian counseling ideas and practice, was applied to language learning. The key idea is that the students determine what is to be learned, so the teacher is a facilitator and provides the support. In the basic forms of CLL, a maximum of 12 students sit in a circle. There is a small portable tape recorder inside the circle. The teacher, who is termed the knower, stands outside the circle. When a student has decided they want to say something in a foreign language, they call a knower over and whisper what they want to say in their mother tongue. The teacher also, in a whisper, then offers the equivalent utterance in English or the target language. Student attempts to repeat the utterance with encouragement from the knower, with the rest of the group eavesdropping. When the knower is satisfied, the utterance is recorded by the student. Another student then repeats the process until there is a kind of dialogue recorded. The knower then replays the recording and transcribes it on the board. This is followed by analysis and questions from students. In a subsequent session, the knower may suggest activities springing from the dialogue. Gradually, the students spin a web from language. Space does not permit me to describe in detail the psychological system on which CLL is based, but essentially, the learner is supposed to move from a stage of a total dependence on a knower at the beginning to a stage of independent autonomy at the end, passing through 5 developmental stages along the way. It is the knower's job to provide the supportive and secure environment for learners, and to encourage a whole person approach to learning.
Here is what you may find in a CLL class. Number 1. Client or learners establish an interpersonal relationship and trust in their native language. Number 2. They sit in a circle with the teacher or counselor on the outside of the circle. Number 3. Learners start a conversation. Number 4. Learners speak in their native language. Number 5. The counselor provides translation and explanation. Number 6. Learners repeat the utterance as accurately as they can. Number 7. The conversation goes on and may be taped for later use. Advantage. Number 1. Creating a supportive community to lower student anxiety. Number 2. Help them overcome threatening affective factors such as making errors or competing with peers. Number 3. Learning takes place in a communicative situation where the teacher and learners are involved in an interaction. Number 4. Learning is viewed as a unified, personal, and social experience. Number 5. The counselor allows the learner to determine the type of conversation and to analyze the foreign language inductively. Number 6. Cultural aspect of the target language learning is enhanced in that students are found to have freedom and high motivation in a community language learning class. Disadvantage. Number 1. Inductive learning in the early stage of language learning is not effective and less successful. Number 2. The learner's teacher can become too non-directive. Number 3. Communication underway in class is constrained by the number and knowledge of fellow learners. Number 4. The procedure doesn't ensure that a variety of contexts necessary for copying in the target culture is included since the content is determined by the participants. Number 5. Students may feel uncomfortable with the apparent lack of structure or sequence in the introduction of grammatical and lexical items. That is too much reliance on an inductive strategy of learning. Besides, there is no syllabus for CLL, a posteriori approach to syllabus specification. The teacher is too non-directive. Finally, the success of CLL depends largely on the translation expertise of the counselor.
Conclusion. Community language learning is a good method for practicing communication. It is also a good method for beginners who just first study their second language. Using the method can help beginners to reduce their anxiety in the classroom. Alright, next I wanna explain a little about total physical response or TPR. Total physical response or TPR is a method of teaching language or vocabulary concept by using physical movement to react to a verbal input. The process mimics the way that infants learn their first language, and it reduces student inhibition and lower stress. The purpose of TPR is to create a brain link between speech and action to boost language and vocabulary learning. TPR stands for Total Physical Response and was created by Dr. James G. Esser. It is based upon the way that children learn their mother tongue. Parents have language body conversation with their children. The parent instructs and the child physically responds to this. The parent say, "Look at mommy" or "Give me the ball," and the child does so. This conversation continues for many months before the child actually starts to speak itself. Even though it can speak during this time, the child is talking in all of the language, the sound, and the patterns. Eventually, when it has decoded enough, the child reproduces the language quite spontaneously. TPR attempts to mirror this effect in the language classroom.
How can I use it in class? In the classroom, the teacher plays the role of parents. She starts by saying a word "jump" or a phrase "look at the board" and demonstrating an action. The teacher then says the command and the students all do the action. After repeating a few times, it is possible to extend this by asking the students to repeat the word as they do the action. When they feel confident with the word or phrase, you can then ask the students to direct each other or the whole class. is more effective if the students are standing in a circle around the teacher, and you can even encourage them to walk around as they do the action. When should I use it? TPR can be used to teach and practice many things. Vocabulary connected with action, example, smile, chop, headache, and waggle. Tenses past or present or future, and continuous expect. Example, every morning I clean my teeth, I make my bed, or I eat breakfast. Classroom language, example, open your books. Imperative or instruction, example, stand up, close your eyes, and storytelling. It can be adapted for all kinds of teaching situations. You just need to use your imagination.
What should I use in the classroom? First, is it a lot of fun? Students enjoy it and it can be a real stir in the class. It lifts the pace and the mood. Second, it is very memorable. It really helps students to remember phrases and words. Third, it is good for kinesthetic learners who need to be active in the class. Fourth, it can be used in large or small classes. It doesn't really matter how many students you have as long as you are prepared to take the lead. The student will follow you. 5. It works well with mixed ability classes. The physical action get across the meaning effectively so that all the students are able to understand and use the target language. 6. It doesn't require a lot of preparation or materials as long as you are clear what you want to practice. It won't take a lot of time to get ready. 7. It is very effective with teenagers and young learners. 8. It involves both left and right brain learning. A few useful variations. When we want to use TPR, first we ask the student to take the action, and then we do it and drill the student to give them an opportunity to practice making the sounds. They are then ready to give commands to each other. Are there any disadvantages with using TPR? Students who are not used to such a thing might find it embarrassing. This can be the case initially, but I have found that if the teacher is prepared and perform the action, the student feel happier about copying. Also, the students are in a group and don't have to perform for the whole class. It is only really suitable for beginner levels. Conclusion: Total Physical Response, or TPR, is one of the teaching methods that emphasize active learning through actions. It means that learners speaking skill through listening to their teacher and before requiring them to speak, and asking them to practice using verbal communication accompanied by physical actions. 3 basic steps that used in this method are to listen, watch, and imitate repeatedly.
Okay, that was the result of our group discussions about community language learning and total physical response method. I hope our explanation can be understood and applied properly, and thanks for listening.